Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some malicious compliance stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. Letting a higher ranked sailor embarrass himself. It may seem ironic, but water is the most tightly controlled resource on a Navy ship. Every bit used for eating, drinking, showering, launching planes, and in steam power plants is controlled and monitored. This is because you can't just slam seawater through the nuclear reactors. Well, you can, but it will probably cost the government a few $100 million and probably land you in jail. Each carrier has 2 nuclear reactors, and the government is extremely protective of them. The operators are the most highly trained group of people in the Navy. Every year, every single reactor and operator undergoes a week of intense inspections and drills from a crew sent by Washington, D.C., called an Operational Reactor Safety Exam, or ORS. I am just a lowly E5, turning circles and launching planes, supervising the catapults. The year is the mid-2000s, and Operation Iraqi Freedom is still in high gear. We get a new guy, an E6 on the ship, and he is just the best thing since sliced bread. Naturally, nobody can stand the guy. He does what he needs to do to be released from work, including getting fully trained on standing a watch in the Damage Control Center, aka DC Central. DC Central is the command center where all the ship-wide drills or actual catastrophes are managed. It's time for the ORS. To set the scene, it's about 2 AM. The ship is the kind of quiet you only get in nurseries at nap time and the calm before the storm. The overhead speakers crackle into life. Reactor shutdown, reactor shutdown. My watchstanders join me in the office just in time for the phone call. Catapult shop, Mr. OP, this is Jerk in DC Central. Reactor 1 shut down. Cross-connect steam from 1 to 2, drains from 2 to 1. Hold up. That's wrong. That will deprive the catapults of steam and lock the water away from the reactors. Exactly the wrong thing to do. I tried to tactfully tell him this. It goes about as well as expected. Try to envision the scene. He is in a room with tons of alarms, flashing lights, at least 3 other guys his rank, a bunch of E7s, probably an O5, who is the 3rd in command of a ship of 4,000 people, and a bunch of people from Washington, D.C. watching our every move. He doubles down. No, do this, the wrong alignment. Roger that. I give him the old aye and log it. My watchstanders and I just grin in anticipation that Jerk is about to feel the long arm and sweaty fist of Washington, D.C. Department of Naval Reactors. To cut this short, we do as requested. It's like 200 sets of pull-downs in a 100-degree sauna. It sucks, but it was worth every drop of sweat. We get it done and watch the steam pressure fall, and fall, and fall. It isn't long before the catapults can no longer launch planes, making the ship a $1.5 billion ammo can. The water level in the reactor would have been going lower and lower until they have to stop. Eventually, someone had to take pity on Jerk, and they called us back up to fix the valves. As for the fallout, the watchstanders on that particular station were basically told, when catapults give you a value lineup, listen to them. Jerk got his hand slapped, but that is it, and we got an attaboy from the inspectors. No great payoff, but you take what you can get. Hey, well, if they say you have to do it, you have to listen. Whatever you say, Sergeant. So this happened a couple years ago while I was working for law enforcement in New York City. not the NYPD, but similar. Our usual shift was 3 PM to 11 PM. We had just gotten a new captain, and as per freaking usual, they want to change things. She decided to completely make a new shift, 12 AM to 8 AM. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, was to go to this park with a bandshell that apparently had homeless sleeping in said bandshell. As you can guess, we didn't have much of a choice in the matter. So my partner and I do this shift, and it goes alright, but we hated the overnight aspect. We complained to the sergeant beforehand, but policy was to obey now, gripe later. He had our backs though and was able to get it changed to 6 PM to 2 AM, thank God. This is where the fun begins. This happened on a Monday. We already had one shift on Sunday, so 2 8-hour shifts thus far for the week. When we got back from our overnight shift, the sergeant tells us that the shift is changed. Report back to work at 1800 hours. Some of you might already spot the problem here. I didn't realize until after I got home and slept. I immediately called the sergeant, and this is how the conversation goes. "Hey, sergeant, are you sure you want us to come in for our shift today?" "Why wouldn't I?" "Well, if we come in for our shift today, that will put us over 40 hours for the week down the line, and you'll have to give us some overtime." He would have to sign off on it. "You do not tell me when you get overtime. I make the decisions around here. We're gonna have a talk when you come in." So, a little background info. We work for the city. If we go over 40 hours, we get overtime pay no matter what. This sergeant was by no means the sharpest crayon in the shed. It was painfully clear he didn't understand me. He also has a very, very short fuse, so I was wary of that and unsurprised by anything that transpired. I actually liked the guy and was honestly trying to help him not get into trouble. Like I said, I liked the guy and only wanted things to go smoothly. So I roll into work fully knowing this is gonna be a mess. I walk in and he sits me down with one of his lackeys as some kind of witness to what he thinks is gonna be him just completely reaming my butt. "Listen, I tell you when you get overtime, you don't tell me, blah blah blah. Let me get a piece of paper and use that to explain this whole thing." "I don't need you to write this down to explain this to me." Me, realizing I messed up by insulting his intelligence. No, I just need it cause it will help me explain it better." "Okay, fine." I literally wrote down like the first 3 shifts. I didn't even get to finish. Sunday, 8 hours. Monday, 8 hours. Monday, 8 hours. It was then he completely realized what I meant, and you could hear it was at this moment he knew he messed up. His entire face shifted. Now he was in salvage mode. "Oh, I see what you mean. Your partner is already here?" "Yeah. I live 10 blocks away." The sergeant's gears were grinding. I ended up suggesting that we just not clock in today, and he would clock us in and out on Saturday. Very big no-no for the city, but we ended up getting Saturday off, so that was nice. I was only following orders. Hey, at least he got the Saturday off, that sounds like a win to me. You may not answer any questions at any time for any reason. My director is a witch. She loves power and just overall is miserable to work for. From the very start, she has made it very clear she doesn't like me, which is totally fine, but I'm good at my job and not willing to let her tell me different. People don't stick around very long in my position. I totally get it because it's a hard job and she is a witch. In the past year, my program has gone through 5 case managers. So at this point, I'm just watching people come and go. I'm the lead case manager in my program. I have been the go-to for a while now, and when there are questions, I'm usually the one to ask. She hates this. She hates having to ask me for anything, and her rules are that no one is to come to me for any reason, and everyone must go to her first. This is for literally anything. Again, totally fine. Less work and responsibility for me. She has gone out of her way to scold me for answering other case managers' questions, accusing me of going over her head and training. She makes a really big deal over it, and I have been told, you may not answer any questions at any time for any reason. She is getting set to retire this December and has been taking a lot of time off using her years of PTO. Our assistant director has also spent a good amount of time out of the office, because there is always a new case managers in training, and they are the only ones who can answer any questions I refer any and all questions to her. My go-to response to any and all questions is, I'm not really sure. I know how I would do it, but just to be sure, you should really ask the director. My case manager in training has to call our director anytime she has a question. She was recently out of the office for a week, and the new case manager had to call for instruction 33 times that week. When she returned for her vacation, she was upset that she had been called so many times. I just simply reminded her that I wanted to make sure the new case manager was getting the correct direction, and I was told I shouldn't give any instructions. The new case manager was also assigned to the after-hours emergency phone and received an emergency call 2 nights in a row at 1 AM and 3 AM. If it was any other program, the person in my position would have been the go-to, but not me. Instead, she called and woke the director up 2 nights in a row. A new memo has come out. I can now answer questions. Hey, well, it sounds like her phone knows what it's doing. I don't care. Screw off. Well, if you insist. Where I come from, Australia, each state has a volunteer emergency service, the State Emergency Service. Think of a CERT, but bigger with better funding and does more things. One of our roles is in storm response, basically going around and conducting temporary repairs to structures to allow them to be lived in, while more permanent repairs are arranged through insurance. Members of the public call up a number, a request for assistance is entered into the computer, the priority of the job is assessed, and eventually a team of volunteers goes out to the job. Depending on the priority of the job, this can take time. We get all the priority 1 jobs first, then priority 2, etc. Following a large weather event, we have a large number, something like 5,000 jobs pending. Part of the response are recon teams consisting of 2 volunteers going out to each job, assessing it on site and updating the request with further details and images. We were often working until 10 PM for low priority jobs, and were on 24-hour operations for the time. So myself and another volunteer are driving to a job where a retaining wall has been damaged. This is far outside our operational capability. But the other volunteer just happens to be the engineer who designed the wall. It's a small world. We arrive at the address and I phone the homeowner. The homeowner says, "Who is this?" "Good evening, sir. My name is OP from the State Emergency Service." "I don't want whatever you're selling." "I am at your home regarding a request for assistance regarding your retaining wall." I don't care. Screw off." The phone call ends. I look at the other volunteer. Well, he did say to screw off. Coffee? Sure. We head off to grab a coffee. I phone the incident manager and tell him the report word for word. The response is laughter, and the go-ahead to close the job, with a note detailing the person's behavior. Found out from the engineer that when the council inspected it, the wall had moved enough to threaten the property above it. If we had inspected it that night, repairs made by the council would have minimized the damage. Oh well, he did tell us to screw off, so we did. You'd think after the person says they're from the volunteer emergency services, you'd be like, oh yeah, sorry about that, instead of going on to say screw off. Wow guys, look on screen right now, you see those 2 videos right there? They're pretty good. I think you should click at least one of them and watch another one.